expert that I've ever asked about OBEs, one critical juncture that we always get to, Robert, is the following. When you are out of your body, is there any additional danger to you in any way? Could you encounter negative forces? Could you perhaps even be subject, more likely, of a possession when you're out of your body? Could something possess your body, or could something go wrong, or could something negative happen to you? And every expert I've talked to on OBEs has always said, oh, absolutely not. It is the safest thing in the world to do, that anything that goes wrong will take you right back to your body right away. Nothing evil can happen. You cannot be possessed. What do you say?
Well, I agree with them in part, but there are a few things that can go wrong, that can injure you. You can come across evil spirits and demons during an out-of-body experience, and you can get into trouble. Not so much physically. Keeping in mind, you never actually leave your physical body. The original copy of your mind and your memory and your spirit always stay in the body. During an out-of-body experience, your body generates a perfect energy copy of itself,
really?
A thinking copy, which is you.
Really?
And at the moment you have an OBE, there is something that I call the mind split occurs, when you split into two completely separate beings. Now, this normally happens while you're asleep, but with training you can stay awake and have actually two of you functioning at the same time. And so, as this is an energy copy, if you do get into trouble out of body, and I've tested this to the limits, if you do get out of trouble, if that projected copy of yours is damaged or destroyed, the original copies of you are safe inside your physical body. They never leave it while you still live. But you can suffer energy depletion, and if your astral body is injured, those injuries can translate, because you're talking about the causal level, into the physical body, and you can get strange marks. As you were saying earlier, people were getting physical injuries on their bodies.
Oh, Robert, I had a whole night of it. I mean, 4 solid hours of people being attacked either psychically or actually physically. It
is far more common than people believe. And it's generally put down,
I'm sorry, we've got a little delay here, so we've got to be careful. But my comment was, obviously, it's a lot more common than people would say, lest I could not sit here with jammed lines for 4 hours. It was amazing.
Yes, it is. I don't know what the percentage would be, but I would say I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of people with problems, from possession to all heavy influence problems and that. And there's probably 10% of the population suffer this sort of problem at some time or other.
That's very interesting, 10%. I've got some figures of my own tonight that come, again from the Vatican, and they said that about 31% of those who ask, here it is, more than 30% of the people who request exorcisms have engaged in activities like witchcraft, according to the Paris Archdiocese. And then they break it down from there. 23% suffer pathological problems, delirium, hallucinations, so forth. 15% suffering depression. But a full 31% of those asking for exorcisms have been in the darker, witchcraft, that sort of thing.
Yes, that would be pretty accurate. If you look at the other percentage, though, I would like to point out here, which comes first, the chicken or the egg. If you ever suffered a psychic assault, and a good psychic attack will usually last about a month, that causes depression. It can cause hallucinations. It can cause all of the problems you talked about there, psychological disorders, stress, trauma. All of that can be caused by the actual psychic attack or entity attack.
So you're saying their percentages may be skewed because some of the other, those 23%, may be really under psychic attack?
Very possibly. They could also be paying lip service to modern science, trying to justify it, to find a bit of support for it. But yes, in my experience, everybody who is under psychic attack has some mental disorder, because a psychic attack unhinges you. It is very distressing, and it will cause a temporary, usually, mental disturbance.
Have you been psychically attacked yourself?
Oh, yes. I've been I've had regular psychic attacks, including demonic attacks, for the last 15 years, up until, that was since the time I became possessed, as I mentioned to your producer.
Well, you didn't mention it to me. What do you mean possessed?
Well, it's a long story. I've been working in this field for quite a long time, and in my late 20s, I came across people who had entity problems and possession. I was working as a healer, so I tried to help them. And I helped several people with obvious, I was talking about rolling around, thrashing on the floor type possession. I've, released several people like that, but I was immune from any attacks myself until the time I tried to exorcise a 5-year-old boy who had horrific problems.
Where was this?
This was in Australia.
In Australia, a 5-year-old boy. What kind of problems was he having?
Frequent manifestations, occult manifestations around him. I should say paranormal, not occult. Lots of poltergeist activity, ghostly shapes around the house, night terrors, the full bed, learning disorders, speech disorders, lots of physical stuff as well.
Oh, brother. And so I take it that you were sort of a last resort. People would do a lot of other things, wouldn't they, before they'd come to somebody like you?
Yes. Well, this family I was helping had tried everything to help their little boy. The doctors gave them medications and things and called in psychiatrists and that, because the symptoms of entity attack in a child are identical to child sexual abuse. They have exactly the same symptoms psychologically.
I can imagine they would.
Because that is what's happening. If you take such a child to a doctor and explain the symptoms, he will automatically be reaching for the telephone to call in the psychologist and possibly the police to investigate. So, anyway, they'd run out of options, and they'd come across me through some friends by word of mouth. And I tried to help this child, and I still had never really suffered a major possession attack myself. And I tried everything I knew to release this child, and it would not go. I managed to release him temporarily for a few days at a time, but it would always come back.
Did you identify what it was that was inhabiting this child?
Yes, it was a demon, yeah. The demonic hierarchy, yeah. Very nasty.
A high-level demon, then?
Yes, it was, yeah. The boy was totally enamored by it and kept calling back.
Do you have any idea why it picked this boy?
No, this is very hard to work out. You can look at karma and things like that, anything you like. I mean, this boy came from a fairly clean living household, non-drinking, non-smoking, just normal people.
All right, I want to get the whole story. We're at the half-hour mark, so hold on. Stay right there. Once again to the other side of the world in Australia, Robert Bruce. Robert, welcome back. This 5-year-old child that you were asked to assist, probably as a last-ditch kind of effort. How long? Describe what you did and tell me how long it took.
Well, what I normally do in a case like that is I put myself into a full trance and connect with my higher self. And normally I just give healing at that level and it removes anything. That was back then. Mm-hmm. What I did, I tried everything I could to shift this thing out of this child, and there was a lot of heavy manifestations in the room while I was doing this. His mother was watching, and including, the child's eyes glowed red and that sort of thing. In desperation, I was running out of ideas and things to do. I did something very, very foolish. I told this thing, basically, take me and leave the child.
Oh.
Yeah. And the
that is, in essence, giving it permission, then.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Exactly, which seems to be an important issue, especially with demons or higher order entities. And the instant I did that, it struck me. In a way, it hit me in the mouth, in the lower right lip, paralyzed me, and where it hit me is quite important. It swelled up very, very quickly, and I'd